Hi again, Year 8. This is the final lesson of this week. This is lesson 3 of week 1 of online learning. And as the other two lessons have been about, it's Donde fuiste. So that's your title. If you can put today's date, depending on when you have your lesson, put today's date in Spanish, please, at the top of the page. Donde fuiste, and underline it. So normally, I'll just go back for a second. Hold on. Normally this would be a home learning lesson, and of course you haven't had that week to learn the vocab yet, but we'll talk about that in a second. We're going to start off with a quick start, which I want you to do from memory, please. Okay, so we have here, it says lesson donde fuiste, get rid of that. From memory, please, can you write the verbs ir and ser in the preterite tense in full, please? Okay, so pause the video now while you do that, please. Okay, so you should have this. Here are the English versions, and remember that it's obviously went and was because it's ir and ser, and it's fui for the first one, fui. You singular went or were, fuiste. You she it went or was, fue. We saw that with fue horrible, fue aburridísimo. We went, we were, fuimos. You went, you were in the plural, fuisteis, and they went or they were, fueron. They went shopping, fueron de compras, and so on. Okay, so if you correct that, please, in your red pen, and then before you move on. Okay, so we've now got the objectives. We've met all of these this week. We've looked at holidays, vocab, where you went to. We've looked at the verb ir and ser in the preterite and practices to quite an extent. We did a listening exercise to improve your listening skills and also make sure you understood how the verbs were being used. And at the end of this lesson, you're going to set some targets on how you should improve further. As I said at the beginning, this would normally be a home learning lesson. We haven't had a chance to do home learning yet, but it will take a more normal shape next week. So for this home learning, please, this is being set now. You need to please use a copy or the copy of the new home learning booklet. We've posted, or your teacher will have posted a link for you, or just put up on Google Classroom, the week 1 home learning, because you haven't been given the booklets yet. So you need to complete week 1. You can see that from what your teacher will have uploaded, and you will need to submit that next week in your normal home learning lesson for your normal home learning teacher to check it. So please make sure that you have done that. There will also be a spelling and vocab test on the vocab for week 1, so make sure you learn that. That's also attached to your Google Classroom for this lesson. So you can download it, or you can work from the screen, however you like, to do the home learning work and also learn the vocab. Okay, so leaving that aside, we have just one task today, and it is quite a big reading task. So we've got here I think it says, vamos a leer, so let's read, basically. Queridos amigos. And I'm going to read this out so that you can hear how it would sound, and then you can spend some time practicing pronunciation as well. You'll notice that it's a letter because it's got dear friends at the top, and it's saludos, which is best wishes at the end there from Maria. And she's talking about her weekend in Madrid when she went to see her aunt and uncle and cousins. And then she describes in detail what she did throughout that weekend, depending on the day and then the part, whether it was morning or evening or afternoon. So this is, I'm going to just read this out so that you can, as I say, hear and then practice the pronunciation. So, queridos amigos, el fin de semana pasado fui a Madrid a ver a mis tíos y primos. El viernes por la mañana fui al Parque del Retiro a ir de paseo. Fui con mi tía. Por la tarde fui a la Plaza Mayor con mis tíos a comer tapas, gambas, calamares, tortilla. El sábado por la mañana fui al Museo del Prado con mi prima a ver cuadros famosos de pintores como Goya y Velázquez. Por la tarde fuimos al Palacio Real a visitar la residencia oficial del rey. Después de cenar, fuimos a una discoteca a conocer la famosa vida nocturna madrileña. El domingo por la mañana fui al Rastro con mi tío a comprar recuerdos. El Rastro es un mercado donde puedes comprar de todo: antigüedades, ropa, recuerdos, libros. Y por la tarde fuimos al Estadio Bernabéu a ver un partido de fútbol entre el Real Madrid y el Barça. ¡Qué bien! Saludos, María. Okay, so quite a detailed letter there, talking about a weekend in Madrid. Now you're going to have to use a dictionary here. Don't use Google Translate. Do not use that. Use I can't remember what it's called. Word reference, that's it, wordreference.com. So www.wordreference.com, and then have Spanish to English for individual words. So if you don't know what primo is in the first line, then look up primo. Do not look up a ver a mis tíos y primos, because you won't get an answer, and it's really lazy as well. Look up individual nouns and adjectives, or individual infinitives, that sort of thing, to see what these things mean. The only verbs they're really using in the past are ir, and we've got things where it says fui a Madrid. Look at the first line, el fin de semana pasado, fui a Madrid a ver. So when you've got a in front of an infinitive, it means that's what they went to do. So I went to Madrid to see someone. So you've got quite a few examples of that. Fui al parque a ir de paseo. Fui a la Plaza Mayor a comer tapas. So that's what it's telling you about. That's what she went there to do. There's quite a lot of vocab that you can look up, write down, make a note of, and write in English and Spanish to really increase your vocabulary. If there's anything that you're really worried about, then speak to your teacher during this lesson, and he or she can help you. What you need to do with this is, at the bottom we have a grid with 4 columns. There will be 6 lines. You need 6 lines, because it's talking about Friday morning, Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and finally Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. And you need to work out where she went on each of those occasions, to do what, and who she went with. You'll take this take you quite some time, so I expect you to stop the video or pause the video, and then we'll correct it after you've finished. Make sure you're writing in English in the grid, in the answer grid. Okay, so if there are any questions before you start, check with the teacher who's online there to take your queries. If not, off you go and pause the video, and I will start it. Then you can start it again when you're ready. Okay, so however long that took you, you've now learnt a huge amount of new vocab and hopefully understood all the activities that Maria did in her weekend. So the first one was Friday morning. We saw that on the starter. That was the example. So Friday morning, she went to the Retiro Park to go for a walk. At Ir de Paseo, she went with her aunt. So Friday afternoon is the next one that you should have, and that was started in the second line. Por la tarde fui a la Plaza Mayor con mis tíos a comer tapas, gambas, calamares, tortilla. So that should be Friday afternoon. She went to the Plaza Mayor, which is this really beautiful square in the center of Madrid, where they New Year. Well, yes, on New Year, where they eat grapes at midnight. Your teachers may have told you about that. So Plaza Mayor in Madrid is a beautiful place. She went there to eat tapas. Can't really translate tapas. It's the name of the type of dish. The examples, if you've looked these up, she had gambas, calamares and tortilla. Tortilla is Spanish omelette made with potato and onion, sometimes chorizo. Calamares are is squid, and gambas are prawns. So if you look, well done. Okay, the next one was Saturday morning. And on Saturday morning, el sábado por la mañana, fue al Museo del Prado. She went to the Prado Museum, again, really famous, world famous museum with really, it says here, cuadros famosos de pintores. So she went to see paintings, pictures by famous painters such as Goya and Velázquez. There's a really famous painting by Velázquez, which is called Las Meninas. And if you get a chance, go onto the Museo del Prado website and look up Las Meninas and see a real masterpiece of a painting. It's really beautiful. When we run a trip to Madrid in the past, we used to go and see that. She went with her cousin, and if you were paying attention, you would know it was a female cousin because it says mi prima. Okay, next one is Saturday afternoon. She went to the Royal Palace, El Palacio Real. That's royal there, just like in Real Madrid, which you'll see in a second. So she went to visit the King's official residence, visitar la residencia oficial del Rey. Again, she went with her cousin. She was still with her cousin then on that day. And afterwards, it didn't ask you about the night, but after eating, they also went to a disco to sort of check out the famous Madrid nightlife at the disco. So moving on, we had El Domingo por la mañana, Sunday morning, sorry. Sunday morning, she went to the Rastro, which is a market, buy souvenirs, recuerdos, or souvenirs. She went with her uncle, con mi tío, and it tells you about the market. It says it's a market where you can buy everything. Antiquities or old, antiques, clothing, souvenirs, books, and it's a really great place to have a wander on a Sunday morning in Madrid. Finally, in the afternoon, por la tarde, she went with her uncle again to the stadium, the Bernabeu Stadium, to watch a football match between Real Madrid and Barca, which is Barcelona. So top match there between the two top teams in the Bernabeu Stadium. Okay, now can you check, it should say at the top there, check your work and correct with red pen. So if there's anything there you didn't understand, then, and you got it wrong, then check it and correct it, please. The main thing you should have got out of this is quite a lot of new vocabulary, and hopefully some sort of idea of what Madrid is like as well. If you do some more research on the capital city of Spain, it's an amazing place to spend a weekend or a few days. It's beautiful, lots of lovely things to see. So that hopefully will have taught you some of that. Right, so once I'm going to get you to pause again now to check and correct. And if you want to give yourself a mark, there were, I mean, everyone had the first four because that was an example. But if you went for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there were 20 bits of information there, weren't there? If you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 4, so 20 bits of information that you should have extracted. So give yourself a mark out of 20 to see how you did. Okay, so having done that, then you can now move on. And as a plenary, please, what I would like you to do is to write down 3 learning points from this week's lessons. What were your learning? Well, I'm not going to put them into, you need to think about them. Think about what we looked at. We looked at the verbs, we looked at time expressions, we looked at countries. In the last thing there, you looked at quite a lot of cultural information about Madrid. So various things that you may want to highlight as being your learning points, but make them specific. And then think about a target for improvement. So depending on how you did throughout the week and when you checked and corrected your work, did you do well in all of them? Did you maybe miss some of the verb forms? Did you get your time expressions muddled up? How did you do overall with things like adjective agreements and so on that I highlighted as we went through? So write a target for improvement And then please, I don't know if the next slide says this. No, it doesn't. I'm going to go back. Can you please submit a copy of that? I'm just going to put this, I'm just going to write adapt this now to say submit a copy via, I can't spell today, via Google Classroom, or a picture, just nice little copy of the picture. Okay, so submit a copy of these by Google Classroom, please, so that you can, your teacher will see how you've done. Okay, so remember, a few slides back I said, let's just go back to it, this one here, make sure you do the week 1 home learning for next week, and also do the spelling and vocab learning you will need for the test next week. And that's all for today. Thank you very much, Kate, and thank you for tuning in and working hard this week on the online lessons. Thank you.